Introduction of sea transportation. Sea transportation refers to movement of goods or passengers on waterway by using sea transportation, normally like ship, cruise, tanker or boat. According to Road Reviews 2009, there are three types of maritime routes such port-to-port, pendulum, and round the world. Latest innovation of port transportation. Upgrade the data utility platform, allow more transparency in the whole shipping, increase efficiency of operations and optimizing process throughout the logistic chain. Next, it can accurately schedule vessel, cranes, and labor. Then it can minimize the number of containers taking move. Next, it will develop new applications, optimize logistics, can improve efficiency in custom, can address health, safety, and environmental challenges. It can available capacity on and offshore. Then, it can be better exchange of data will unlock tremendous value, and it will be our solution. There is a video about latest innovation of port transportation.
Nextport is a data utility platform which will collect data from various stages in the supply chain of the Port of Antwerp. Data can be used to create growth and foster sustainable solutions in the transport sector. The data utility platform would allow for more transparency in the whole shipping process and increased efficiency of operations, optimizing processes throughout the logistics chain. Thanks to Nextport, terminals can accurately schedule vessels, cranes and labor. Nextport can minimize the number of container stacking moves by knowing all information on containers like their weight, destination and intermodal instructions. Nextport will become a rich source of data for software developers, enabling them to develop new applications that can optimize logistics in the near future. Nextport can facilitate an enforced digital customs solution to improve efficiency. By storing data related to health, safety and the environment, Nextport can also address challenges in these areas. Also, a larger volume of traffic will be possible through a better use of available capacity on and offshore. Studies predict substantial benefits only through better use and better exchange of existing data. Nextport will be a state-of-the-art solution, making the Port of Antwerp the industry reference for data sharing, transparency and innovation. It is an open project, welcoming new partners from all over the world. The Nextport Data Utility Platform is an initiative of the industry associations of the Port of Antwerp and Alphaport Voca.
These are the three largest container companies in the world in 2021. Firstly, we have APM Mars. APM Mars is a collaboration, the APM Terminus Inland Services that joins Mars Logistics and Services in 1st August 2019. As we all know, APM Mars is a logistic and shipping company that are working to connect and simplify its customers' supply chains. Moreover, their next target or goal are to become the global integrator of container logistics, connecting and simplifying the customer supply chain. Therefore, they will be focused on becoming the world-class port operator, serving shipping line and landside customers with services on the port premises. Moreover, the customers can get convenient access to a broader variety of logistics and services offerings. Both Mars and APMT Inland Services will continue to operate under current brand name and meet all contractual obligations. The even closer collaboration will enable both APM Terminus and Mars to minimize complexity and eliminate service overlaps and costs so that both brands can focus on their competencies and provide customers with more value and a better experience. Second, we have Mediterranean Shipping. MSC Mediterranean Shipping Company is a global business engaged in the shipping and logistics sector. Therefore, they delivers goods and services to local communities, customers, and international business partners. They have presence in 155 countries, including Malaysia. Furthermore, their focus are to remain their roots and continue to build and retain long-term trusted partnerships with customers of all sizes and scales. Third, we have COSCO, China Ocean Shipping Company. COSCO is a Chinese company that owned by the government. It is an intermodal container shipping company, which means that it transports cargo by ship, train, truck, and other means. Furthermore, COSCO have experienced unfortunate accidents in Norway 2009, where when the bulk carrier Full City had an engine failure and ran aground in a storm. It ended up spilling 200 tons of fuel in an area that was important to wildlife, and the company was responsible for making sure such failures are not likely happen by maintaining ships and training workers. These are the other big container companies in the world in 2021. Firstly, we have CMA CGM, Hapag-Lloyd, One Ocean Network Express, Evergreen Line, and Hyundai Merchant Marine.
Mode C transportation problems. For the first problem is insurance claims and losses. Insurance claims means a formal request by a policyholder to an insurance company for coverage or compensation for a covered loss or policy event. The insurance company validates the claim and once approved, issues payment to the insured or an approved interested party on behalf of the insured. It is calculated that the greatest impact of loss from insurance claims will be felt in the cruise ship sector due to owner's liability to passengers and the crew. This sector plans to jump into gear again at the end of 2020 and into 2021. This is good news, but it is also entails facing possible legal action in the event of outbreaks on board or cancellations. Other claims that may be filed with cargo ships would be due to delays in freight delivery. These are especially fatal for cargo that may be damaged or depreciated. Second, safety hazards. In a safety hazard and risk assessment, it is important to be as true as possible because after all, you can protect your workers against hazards you are unaware of and unprepared for. In this situation of greater operative precariousness for the sector, one great fear is that attempts will be made to reduce costs at the expense of safety. This could undo years of progress in safety. In this regard, the fact that ports are working at half-mast could also lead to delays in port inspections as well as response times in contingencies, worsening possible accidents such as fire, collisions, and running aground. Last but not least, maintenance problems and breakdowns. Maintenance breakdowns means maintenance performed on equipment that has broken down and is unusable. It is based on a breakdown maintenance trigger. It may be either planned or unplanned. Ship operators are dealing with risk of delay due to maintenance and repair. Interruptions in the supply of spare parts and other products can lead to delays or the use of materials of lower quality. This clearly increases the risk of machinery breakdowns, the cause behind 1/3 of sailing incidents.
How to solve the problem? Insurance claim and losses. If that happens, you must identify the goods and get the exact evidence about your specific goods that are damaged or lost. These should be supplied by the claimant, after which the goods are ID'd by carrier. If you carefully while booking the shipment, you should have documents like commercial invoice. Furthermore, confirmation also important when this problem happens. The carrier will evaluate the claim and verify that the goods were damaged or lost, and the valuation of damage will be determined. Next problem is safety hazard. To solve this problem, we must alert the movement in the ship. When the ship will carry heavy cargo, the containers should be firmly tied all the time. Also, it is necessary to always alert for slippery area, unguarded rolling, or open hatch to prevent major bodily harm. In addition, safety hazard can be caused by human error. Human error include unawareness, experience, attentiveness, body language, body strength, stress, and so on. So to solve the problem, we can improve in operability and working environment. Good communication between crew can always prevent from incorrect information, and information can be delivered correctly and not making error. Next problem is maintenance problem and breakdown. How to solve it is to avoid unexpected breakdown, managers are recommended to utilize a preventative maintenance strategy. It is effective in preventing sudden equipment failure. The vessel must have a preventative maintenance system. This is to ensure the safety of the crew and assets. Furthermore, it always schedule the routine preventative maintenance. It allows you to set service reminder based on meter readings and engine hour break. This notification is to ensure your vessel never skips servicing, thus maximizing uptime in saltwater.
Operation process of sea transport. Definition: transport operation. Transport operation is the movement of a single type of goods from one place of origin where the goods are loaded to a destination where they are unloaded. The transportation of two different types of goods in the same vehicles is considered to be two different transport operations, even though the vehicles only make one journey. Maritime routes. There are three types of maritime routes in the transport industry. The firstly is port to port. Port to port involves less frequent services between two ports, often moving back and forth with a one-way cargo flow involving empty bag haul. This structure has the disadvantage of offering limited connectivity and mainly represent raw materials flow, such as oil, mineral, and grain, between zones of extraction and main consumption market. Next is pendulum. This configuration characterizes container cargo and involves a fixed itinerary between port sequence where maritime shipping lines seek to optimize the utilization of their vessels by choosing to serve port with significant trade ties. The lastly is round the world. The long-distance maritime services call on more than two ranges, with some calling for along more than one range. The term pendulum route is often applied to a maritime service covering three ranges, one of them often intermediary. Maritime traffic. It refers to the amount of cargo that can be loaded on an empty ship without exceeding its operational design limits. The limit is known as a load line, which is the maximum draft of the ship and does not account for the weight of the ship itself but include fuel and ballast water. Maritime freight is conventionally considered in two main markets. The two main markets are bulk cargo. It refers to the freight, both dry and liquid, that not packaged such as mineral, oil, coal, and grains. It often requires the use of specialized ships such as oil tankers, as well as specialized transshipment and storage facilities. The second main market is breakbulk cargo. It refers to the general cargo that has been packaged in some way with the use of bag, box, and particularly containers. The global maritime shipping industry is falling into four broad categories. The firstly is passenger vessels. Passenger vessels divide into two categories. The first category is passenger ferries. People used to cross relatively small bodies of water such as straits. Passengers use it for vacation trip of various duration, usually over several days. The former tend to be smaller and faster vessels. The next category is cruise ship. Large capacity ship having a full range of amenities. About 28.5 million passengers were serviced by cruise ship in 2018. Bulk carriers, ships that designed to carry specific commodities and differentiated into liquid bulk and dry bulk vessels. Bulk carriers are the largest vessels employed in the sea. Next is general cargo ship. These vessels are designed to carry non-bulk cargoes. The traditional ships were less than 10,000 deadweight tonnage (DWT) because of extremely slow loading and offloading. And the lastly is roll-on, roll-off ro-ro vessels. The design allow cars, trucks, and trains to be loaded in directly on board. The largest is the car carriers that transport vehicles from assembly plants to the main markets. Their capacity is measured in the amount of parking space they can offer to the vehicles they carry. Next is about operation process of sea transport in Malaysia. In Malaysia, we have three types of water transport. The first water transport is river transport, second, coastal transport, and third, sea transport. River transport. This type of transport is important at Sabah and Sarawak because the road transport are limited at their state. For example, Rajan River at Sarawak and Kinabatan River at Sabah are used for pick-up passengers and transporting logs. River transport is not important at Semenanjung, Malaysia because this type of transport is used for the river is short and slow. Coastal transport. This type of water transport is important for coastal residents to transport bulk goods from the small port to the large port. An example of the small port is at Lumut Perak, which allow boats from the Pangkor Island to anchor and deliver sea produce. This port is also used as a base for the Malaysian Navy and Marine Police to control the security of the country water. The lastly is about sea transport. This type of water transport is important in Malaysia because Malaysia have a lot of port that we use for export goods in large quantity. Malaysia have many warehouse facilities to store goods and to transport goods in large quantity at low cost. The example of large port and has container facilities in Malaysia is Klang Port, Penang Island, Pasir Gudang Port, Tanjung Pelepas Port, and Bintulu Port. Terminal port. What is a port? Port is a landed area often at the seashore that provided shelter for a boat and cargoes. It serves as a point of transaction where shipment activities are negotiated. In other words, a port is a facility within the harbour where a ship is docked or parked for commercial purpose like offloading goods and passengers, handling cargoes, or fixed port in the ship. Since the port also serves as a boundary between land and sea, it functions as the meeting point where the train and truck arrive to offload or export contents into the ship or pick up a cargo of the ship. They have 5 types of port. The first port is inland port. Inland port are ports built on comparatively smaller water bodies such as river or lakes. They can either be for cargo purpose or for passengers or for boat. The next is fishing port. Fishing ports are mainly related to the commercial supplier as they participate in fishing. A fishing port can be an inland port or seaport. The thirdly is warm water port. These are the ports in which the water is maintained at warm temperature. It's free to operate all year round without a temporary shutdown during the freezing time. Next is dry port. Dry ports are defined as inland terminals that can be interconnected with a seaport via road or rail transportation facilities, and they usually act as a centers of multimodal logistics. The lastly is seaport. Seaports are the most common types of port around the world which are used for commercial shipping activities. A seaport can be further categorized as a cargo port or cruise port. Importance of port is because employment opportunities, socio-economic development, environment friendly, and commercialization. What is a terminal? Terminal is a location on a seaport where loading and unloading of people or goods take place. In other words, it is more like a checkpoint where goods, cargoes, or passengers are offloaded. Usually, there can be several terminals across a seaport. Importance of terminal, boundaries, verification. Differences between a port and a terminal. A port is a station used for commercial and trade activities such as loading and unloading cargoes and other activities that generate income. Terminal is a specific part of a port dedicated to a particular activity. For example, on a port, there can be different terminals for oil and gas, crude oils, building materials, automobile, and so on.
Unit carriage of cruise. The truth is that the overwhelming majority of ships sailing our oceans are purposed for international freight transport. But if all these ships carry freight, in which aspect are they different? Nothing more than the specificities of the freight they can carry. In other words, each type of cargo requires different conditions and specialized ocean transport mode. This leads us to review the types of ships in existence based on the types of load they transport. For the first unit carriage of cruise is container ships. These boats are especially designed to transport freight in containers. This kind of ships takes care of most international dry load transport, which means that over half of ocean trade lies with these colossal boats. They are adapted to transport standard containers based on the ISO regulation. Generally speaking, they are automated ships and they load and unload with gantry cranes. Second, oil tankers. Oil tankers are special tank ships to transport raw oil. Certain technical characteristics differ from cargo ships, such as the leak tightness against the oil, structural resistance, and the pumping system for loading and unloading the fuel. These ships are so large that they have to berth on the high seas. They can hold up to 2 million barrels of oils. Last but not least, gas carriers. Often grouped into the same category as oil tankers, they have more sophisticated technology to store liquid gas and increasingly popular fuel. In broad strokes, we can divide them into LNG, which are specialized in housing liquid natural gas, and LPG, which in turn work with liquid petroleum gas. The main difference is technical, since LNGs carry gas at temperature up to -170 Celsius and LPG at -50 Celsius and 18 kg of centimeter-2 pressure. LNGs are visibly different with their large spherical tanks on deck. Ships with chemical cargo, on the other hand, have several tanks to keep from mixing the different substances they carry.
Motive power of coal. Coal power produces electricity of burning coal in a boiler to produce steam. The steam produced under 3 meters pressure flow into a turbine which spins a generator to create electricity. The steam is then cooled, condensed back into water, and returned to the boiler to start the process over. How to transfer coal to vessel? They have two methods, which is 1. Stacker reclaimer method. Using the stacker reclaimer method, coal is emptied out of rail car using a rotary wagon tipper onto a belt conveyor which carry the coal to a traveling stacker which form high stock piles. To loading the ship, a rotary wheel reclaimer pick up the coal from the stock pile and transfer it onto a belt conveyor. A traveling adjustable conveyor then discharges directly into the ship hold. It is an efficient loading technique especially suitable for large ships. Second method is coal loading method with crane and grab. The grab loading process uses crane to remove coal from rail car and transfer it directly into a ship. Alternatively, coal can be loaded from stockpiles immediately adjacent to berth. This loading method is most used at long-established ports which were designed as multi-purpose facility for loading general cargo by crane. Next is advantages of coal power. There have two advantages of coal power. First is inexpensive energy source. Compared to other motive power, coal was cheaper than other alternative and affordable options to deal with. This is also reflected in the amount of power that coal generates. It is just a few cents from kilowatt-hour to afford. If you are mostly concerned about the cost aspect, then you have no worry. The second advantage is easy to reduce the risk. In the event of an emergency, it is easy to reduce such side effects compared to nuclear or hydropower. Nuclear explosion usually affected many people and their surroundings. Next is disadvantage of coal power. Destroy natural habitats. In the course of attracting coal for heating and industrial use, the habitats of plant and animal inevitably get destroyed. There is little doubt that the ecosystem and biodiversity will take a beating. This process also results in water, soil, and air pollution through acid rain. On the same note, many groundwater sources are also compromised. Second disadvantage is non-renewable source of energy. Though present in abundant supply, coal is unfortunately not a renewable source of energy. That means it should stop to exist or to be important as soon as the last drop is expended. In case there is no viable backup plan in place, it will be waste and may inconvenience the industry and facility that presently rely heavily on it for electrical power and heating.
Motive power of hydroelectric. Electricity produced by hydroelectric power from turbine-based generators then converts the potential energy of falling or fast-streaming water into mechanical energy. In the early 21st century, hydroelectric power was the most widely utilized form of renewable energy. In 2019, it accounted for more than 18% of the world's total power generation capacity. In the generation of hydroelectric power, water is collected or stored at a higher elevation and laid downward through large pipe or tunnels is called penstocks to a lower elevation. The difference in these two elevations is known as the head. At the end of its passage down the pipes, the falling water causes turbines to rotate. The turbines in turn drive generators which convert the turbines' mechanical energy into electricity. Transformers are then used to convert the alternating voltage suitable for the generators to a higher voltage suitable for long-distance transmission. The structure that houses the turbines and generators and into which the pipes or penstock fit, it's called the powerhouse. Advantages of hydroelectric. It is continually renewable owing to the recurring nature of the hydrologic cycle. It does not produce thermal pollution. It can produce methane from the decomposition of vegetation underwater. It prefers energy source in areas with heavy rainfall and with hilly or mountainous regions that are in reasonably close proximity to the main load centers. It may be sufficiently attractive to justify the long high voltage transmission lines. It may also be economical, particularly if they combine storage of water during light loads with electricity production during peaks. Many of the negative environmental impacts of hydroelectric power come from the associated dams. Conclusion: sea transport is used to cover large distance and is suitable for non-perishable goods. In fact, it is the most economical type of transport, but it is also slower compared by other mode of transportation. But at the same time, this mode of transportation is less expensive compared by other type of transportation. The weather can vary from a few days to months depending on the distance and the services available. Thank you.